My name is Beverly Poole, and I'm the Director of skillslabs business centres in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight here. And I'll talk to you about mine a little bit later on. But first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Janet and Debbie for having us here today and supporting the work that the college does, and the team who have worked so hard to make the room look beautiful, Stuart on IT, and thank you very much. It's all incredibly great. So just in case of fire alarms, we're not expecting any, but we've got an exit to the right and also the left. And also, if you need the loo, there's one out there as well, this way here, and one upstairs, directly upstairs. So people online, thank you very much for joining us. And we will be taking some photographs today, just to let you know, in the room. And what we're going to be doing this morning is that Debbie Lavin, who is the principal of the college, is going to come and introduce the project to you. We're then going to hear from Conrad Manning, who is our marine consultant on the project. And then I'll come along and tell you how we're going to support the college as a business centre. So, Debbie, I can introduce you up here. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Just thank you for being here and thank you for being online. And as we know, everything's become hybrid, so it's really peculiar. There's more people online than in the room. And a little tease from me is you're missing out if you're online on the beautiful cakes and pastries today. But everyone in the room is smiling because they get even more, so that's all great. So it's to welcome you to the Skills Lab event. And before I launch into that, I just wanted to say thank you to Beverly and the team. It's really, really appreciated. And to reflect on the last 2 years, really. So if you look back at COVID, every single business, included our own, has responded, reacted. I've just seen the most amazing technology that's been brought into the college by an employer today. And I wanted to say well done, because that was a tough journey for us all. And you responded very well, you moved very quickly, and most businesses survived, which is absolutely amazing. And if we're looking at the current news at the moment, if you're keeping an eye on Ukraine and Russia, which is a very sad state of affairs, we may well all have to respond to that too. And I know part of today is about making sure we're agile, we can support you, we can respond to that. So it may be that the gas prices will increase your bills. It could be that your supply chain's affected. And it's our job alongside you to make sure that we can respond to that event. And then the other thing we all have in common is the net zero agenda. So you will, in every single industry, whether it be marine, digital, etc., you will have a response to net zero placed on you by the government. But I wanted to say we're pushing an open door from our students. So you'll have heard of Greta Thunberg. She's leading the way on all of that. She's very passionate. And we found so are our young people. So if we're trying to upskill young people along all these agendas, I think you'll be really, really happy that that's going to be quite easy. We're also very privileged. I came off a call last night with the local enterprise partnership, who was giving an update on the Freeport, and that is going to be so exciting for this Solent region. So again, we need to be light on our feet. We need to be responsive. We need to make sure we can brief you as employers as to how that will benefit you. And having got a first brief last night, the benefits to that project are incredible and will be really, really valuable to you as employers. So we've talked about the skills white paper. There's 7 colleges who were trying to respond to that with you. And that was published in January 2021. Now, what our government, UK government, do very well, they skill scan. So they've been out to Germany, and Germany, since the war, has had a very technical education infrastructure. It's amazing. It's in work, so the employees are in the workplace doing apprentices, doing higher technical education, and it's boosted their economy, and they really are flying high as a country. And I'm very pleased to say that our government is taking a leaf out of their book. And so they've published this Skills for Job, Lifelong Learning for Opportunity and Growth white paper. It's a good read for education people, but if you're not, I suggest you give it a bit of a wide berth. But it is really placing us at the heart, placing employers at the heart of everything we do. And the paper is to reform education so that we place you and your employees at the heart of everything we do. And I have to say, for the first time ever, I'm woohooing a bit, because from September, we will receive 1.3 million more money than we would have in the past, aimed at supporting you. And I think that is the government putting their money where their mouth is. So what are we trying to do? The Skills White Paper has 4 main aims. It's putting you at the heart of everything we do. It's making sure we invest in high technical qualifications, and that the reforms are very much about flexibility, making sure the curriculum meets your needs, not us saying, well, we can offer this and you need to put up with that. And it is also, if you're watching the TV at the moment, you'll have noticed there's adverts trying to get teachers back into education. So there's investments all along the way, not only in capital, but in equipment that you might need, state-of-the-art equipment in your businesses, and also in the people infrastructure. So we're really delighted with that. And so what is the Skills Labs about? What we're trying to do, and you've all done it through COVID, and that's why I started with it. It's about innovation, it's about collaboration, and it's about evolution. So we need to keep working and changing like we did during COVID. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there's all these other things that we need to respond to. So what's important for me today, and for us in the room as educational experts, is that we are able to put you at the forefront and make sure that our product is your product, not the thing that we think we can offer. So we're really, really keen, and Beverly will do something later to make sure we get some survey data, we're listening to you and responding to you. So what are our long-term priorities? We are hoping that we can grow and develop with you. We can support a high-value curriculum. We can ensure that 7 colleges working together, so there's 7 colleges all working together. We're really delighted that that collaboration is truly working for us. So Fareham is leading on the project. We here will have a hub of our own, and then there'll be 5 other colleges all responding to you. And what that's about is there's a map analysis going on around curriculum, a strategic analysis of our work, and that is saying, well, 5, 7 colleges offer this, why? And these colleges over here don't offer anything I need, and how can we change and respond to that? So I think you'll find the response from us is going to be amazing. And one of the things that we are doing is we have over 20,000 students in our colleges. We have over 5,000 apprentices. We have a whole workforce and an army of here that you can tap into. And we think we could be better at supporting you in that. There's a whole army of people across this Solent patch who we can respond to just for you as employers. And we're excited to do that. So what have we achieved? We've had 282. What have we set out to achieve? We've got a business centre here and one at Fareham, and there's been 850,000 investment there. We've got a second project, which is 2.2 million, which has been invested in equipment that you want to see, digital equipment that employers have told us they need. And we've invested that in net zero, in marine and in digital. We've also got a project looking at our teachers, and that's a two-way thing. So we do have an ask of you today. We have money to get you in as employers to come and work with us, maybe on new machinery you've got, and we can send our teachers out to you to upskill them. So that is a knowledge transfer share, and we are being paid from the government to do that. So there'll be resource there. So we're quite excited for that as well. We've had, so far, we've achieved 282 staff secondments, 76 teaching staff have been out on knowledge transfer. We've spent all the 2.2 million, as you might, any good shoe-bearing person would. And we bought things like ground source heat pumps, electrical and hybrid vehicles, simulation technologies, robotic and mechatronic equipment, and the list goes on and on. So we are well on the way to meeting our targets, which in theory, the first tranche of targets need to be by the end of March. So we're very pleased with the progress of the Skills Lab. So what's next? Today's about pulling the strands together. We have got a Skills Lab product that we think will enable businesses to engage with us better, and it'll be more clear. So it won't be about the College Business Centre, it's about the Skills Lab product. We have a team of people who have been brought in to help us with that. And also, one of the things the project will do is the whole levelling up agenda, which is about ensuring that whether you're in the north, and I'm a good northern lass, or whether you're in the south here, that we can respond equally up and down the country. And as you'll know, if you're local, haven't the Isle of Wight and some parts of Gosport have a real need for investment, and this project will lend itself to that wider development as well. So we're excited for the project. We think it really can put you as employers at the heart of everything. If there's anything you want to read, it's the Skills White Paper. Maybe not. But I'd now like to welcome Conrad, who's going to talk to you about marine. And today's event really is all about that and how we can help. And Conrad's an expert in his field, so please can you welcome him.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here today. I thought I'd start a little bit about me, so you know who stood up in front of you today and who you listen to online. My background was quite straightforward. My grandfather was a lecturer in physics and the other in engineering, which meant that my mum went and did a mechanical engineering degree and my dad did an electrical engineering degree. So no prizes to guess what I went into. I started with GCSEs, then went and did A-levels, which meant that it was quite a simple decision about what to study, which was maths, physics, chemistry and design technology, and then led pretty quickly into doing a master's at Southampton University. It was a bit of a nightmare for the careers advisor at the school because apparently you had to put down 5 different universities where you wanted to study, and I only just wanted to put down 1. But came out with a 2-1 and from there decided to continue my love of sailing and spent 8 months working on an Inamaka 60, which is a 60-foot ocean racing boat based here in the Solent. Coming to the end of that contract, I thought long and hard of where I wanted to head into and thought I should probably actually use my degree and put it to use. Rather than swanning around on lovely sailing boats. So went to work as a naval architect at a boutique yacht design firm up in Winchester, where we did everything from submarines to 90-foot sailing yachts and pretty much everything in between. I'm now at Kinetic as a naval architect, doing also a variety of things. The STEM side of things, which is sort of what I can bring as well, is sort of started around the same time as I moved to become a naval architect, where I noticed that there was a massive gap in the industry in terms of skills. It's not changed drastically in the 6 years that I've been doing it. There still is a big need for it. And that kind of revolved around doing careers talks, going to career events, doing sort of simple activities around folding origami boats and seeing how many stones it can carry, which actually you can teach surprising amount of naval architecture and fundamentals through. And then also doing workshops where you give primary school students saws and foam and tell them to make an absolute mess before we go and race them. So that's a bit of a whirlwind tour about my background. But the Isle of Wight and the Solent goes back even further. They have evidence that it has prehistoric huts and people who used to live on the island. which then even became into the Romans and Saxons. And at their time, you could even walk across the island around Hayling Island, which probably meant it was quite easy for those prehistoric people to continue that commute. It's now slightly more difficult because you need to take a ferry. Then the 16th century, you're sort of looking at the military. That's when Portsmouth, Southampton kind of really built up their defences with the forts at one end, and moving into ocean liners, and about the same time the America's Cup, which sort of trends quite similarly with the development of the marine industry, going from a more military or commercial aspect to becoming more of a playground for those who enjoy the water. Olympics came along, and some of the incredible footage of the D-Day preparations, where the whole Solent was full of boats getting ready to head across as part of the landings. And more recently, with the ocean racing, with the start of many of the great races like the Clipper, the Whitbread, and I've forgotten what that one's called, but going the wrong way around the world. So it's steeped in history, particularly around the marine sector. That is reflected in the current highlights. So with Portsmouth and Southampton, we've got the international trade ports, trade and ports. We've got oceanography down in Southampton, which we're leading a lot of the world in. A lot in clean growth, with the installation of seagrasses and oysters to try and clean up the region even further, and limiting particular fuels. Leisure, as I spoke about, it's definitely a hub for a lot of people coming down to have a good time on the water, particularly with things like Cows Week and Round the Island Race. Two of some of the biggest sailing events in the world are right on our doorstep. Defence and autonomy and research sort of go hand in hand, with lots of sites and pockets of excellence across the board, from the whole width of Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. Skills and training centres is again, I think the Solent area and Hampshire has probably the greatest density of higher education in the UK. It's a fact that was talked about a couple of days ago. So we really do have a great centre of excellence and the ability to train the future workforce. And then lastly, it's a brilliant place to live, with it always seeming to be sunny on the Isle of Wight. And Gosport and the rest of it usually seems to rain, so you know where people end up. The sector itself is huge. These are numbers taken from 2015 from the LEP, where when you're counting things in billions in terms of goods and services, and being about nearly 20% of the LEP economy, it's definitely contributes significantly to the finance of the UK. Wage and here we go. So employment in 2015, we were looking at nearly 120,000 people, and that is only growing as well, because it seems from talking with industry that people are growing. They're having to grow to meet demand. So it could easily have significantly increased since the 2015. Gotta love technology sometimes. Yes. So out of a recent research done by the Litchfield Analysis in 2018, I kind of picked out two key graphs from it. The first one on the left sort of shows how the change in working population has changed in the Solent, the South East, and the UK. And as you can see, it's more and more of the population at the moment are of working age, and that more and more of the enterprises are being started and established every year, which is what you can see on the right. So although it's not as great a rate compared to the UK and the South East, we still need to make sure that those new employees are being trained correctly, and achieving at least an NVQ of 4 or 4+, to then support those new enterprises to grow and expand, to further support the local economy and the people in the area. It's hard to summarize exactly where things are, what is driving that change, but from what I've come across, there's sort of 4 main areas. The first one is digitization and autonomy, allowing more to be done by a single person. Then bring in the environmental sustainability goals, particularly the 2050 targets, is having to force a lot of companies to think outside of the box to meet those requirements. Global competition, as we become a much more global industry, we're starting to then have to compete with everyone from around the world, from Australia to America, to position ourselves as leading experts in the marine industry, whatever that type of work you do. And then lastly, the development and design of boats, for example, is becoming a much more knowledge-intensive activity. So people are having to get greater depth of understanding of how what they do is related to how it's being produced. So there's not a clear direction in the industry. It does seem at the moment that there's a lot of movement in different areas as we're trying to feel our way around those earlier drivers of change. Now, the UK Maritime 2050 strategy sort of showing us this direction of where we should be heading. First is to look at increasing our technical and high-tech capabilities. The second is fitting in that IT sort of digital and systems technology so that we can improve how we are or become more efficient in what we're producing. The soft skills are becoming increasingly more important. Although you could be an expert at welding or woodwork, as companies are having to work together more, bringing in different facets of the organization, those soft skills are becoming more and more important so that what you're producing is better connected, especially when you can have these sort of online calls as well, the hybrid meetings. You're not now just relying on going to a select few going to different regions. You can be there at a desk in an office and be connected to anyone around the world. And then lastly is that there's definitely a problem of attracting younger people into the sector. The exact reason I don't think everyone's agreed on, but it is an area that we are having to approach and work out. So as part of the work and the research that we're trying to do, I've split it down into 6 different areas to focus on where different parts of the industry are headed and what different parts of the industry are needed. The first one is leisure, sort of the free time activities, what people do when they've got time off or outside of work. The other one is commercial. So this is sort of the build, the repair, the refit of vessels. Maritime, which sort of encaptures autonomy, cruise industry, defence, logistics. Super yacht is fairly explanatory. It's those very fancy boats that we seem to be quite highly skilled at designing in the Solent region. Offshore and renewables, again, with the wind farm support vessels that we seem to be sort of charging forward in the region, is another big sector that I think we're competing with Scotland quite a lot. So an area of conversation there for sure. And then lastly, the original equipment manufacturers, so the hardware that gets put on vessels. I wanted to add a small bit about qualifications, as it is quite a complex region if you've not really seen it before. The government has basically broken down education into 8 different levels of education. The first is sort of your skills for life, which covers your basic knowledge and skills. The 1 and 2 kind of encapsulate your GCSEs, the diplomas, apprenticeships and awards. which gives you that ability to start working in industry and do a variety of tasks under the guidance of further skilled individuals. Level 3 looks at A-levels, advanced apprenticeships, IB, BTEC, T-levels. This sort of gives you that route into either further education, university, working independently of those greater skilled people, and in some cases even supervise and train others in that particular field of work. 4 to 6 sort of tackles the university level, so H&Ds, H&Cs, foundation, bachelor's, higher and degree apprenticeships, which is just moving that technical ability along further, and sort of looks at perhaps managing and developing others. And then lastly, the 7+, you're looking at master's degrees, PhDs, specialist certificates, and postgraduate education, which apparently is suitable for senior professionals and managers, taken straight from the book. So that sort of gives you a bit of an outline of where and how the education sector is split as to what sort of skill or course level that you might be looking at working with colleges on. Intentionally, I left this one very busy. Now, things have changed slightly since I went to school, and I imagine since many of you on the call and here today also went to school, where there are so many different ways that you could get into both education and work. And that could be GCSEs, A-levels, apprenticeships, university, certificates, diplomas, apprenticeships, going out on yourself and doing entrepreneurship. So the field is definitely broadened, and by bringing in people who are who are knowledgeable in the education industry, will allow you to help the next generation of students be skilled to the level that you need them to then help your company